everyone, and welcome to Blue Tengu's live game development show. Maybe not so live this week because classes 2 weeks in a row have left me very sleep deprived, so you know what that means. The brain's probably not going to work as well as it usually does. Well, the usual not being that well anyway, so let's jump into this. Let's jump to the desktop and go to the task list. Got 123 Gas and Ruben in the room with me right now, so hey guys. Let's see, for overtime, I did a couple of things during overtime. As usual, don't really have time for overtime anymore because of the kid in school and stuff like that, but did get that exit particle from before to actually flow out of the room. That looks okay now. Also, the UI menus do support the controller now, so you can navigate the menus with the controller, and the credits, the speed up and the slow down is all fixed, so you can speed through names or slow them down if you want to see your name in there, for example. So that's what we got done in overtime. Ruben loving the intro. It is very weird, but it does cover kind of like that awkwardness that I used to have in the middle in the show, and that used to have that long intro too, that where I was just jabbing away about what we do, so it kind of covers that as well. But today's episode, loading times. You'll understand why it's loading times later, but the animated short. The map in the game, in Project Skyring. Let me jump over to the game. In fact, with the kid, didn't have time to even load up GameMaker before starting, so we'll have to go through that conversion process. But with the map, we've got a bunch of hex tiles all over the map. So far, let's see, we've got like forest tiles, mountain tiles, desert tiles, you know, the different like wasteland tiles, all these different tiles. But up until now, we've just had one kind of representative tile per land type. But what we need to do is actually have variety, otherwise the game looks weird. it looks like it's in progress, so we do have to fix that. Over the last week, I was actually surprised. I did get to do some of the tiles, but realizing that with some of the tiles I need to draw a little more to actually get all the parts I need to make the tiles. So what I need to do this episode is take an inventory kind of and just see, you know, make out a list of exactly what tiles I still need to work on, what tiles I have the art for but haven't actually put in the game, you know, just kind of, what would you call it? I'm thinking of the Japanese for some reason now, Sozai list. A resource list, there we go. Tired so the brain's thinking in Japanese, that's great. But today I want to get a few of maybe the harder tiles out of the way, because I am here. The problem with doing the tiles while I'm like off at work and stuff, and you know, during lunch breaks and on the trains there and home, is the fact that I'm working on a laptop, which laptops in Photoshop, never fun. The screen's small and you've got this horrible mouse to work with, so I would rather do some of the trickier stuff on the desktop if I can. But 123 Gas, you have a free schedule until September. Need to find things to do. What kind of things do you want to do? Let's see. Is the music working? I'll keep the music down. Sound effects there. Let's see. Yeah, I need to, while you're here, I need to show you the main character that I've been thinking of right now, because you would have a good artistic opinion on it. But here we go. Here's the game. Here's where I am. Like for example, where am I right now? Planes? Yeah, the tiles are growing a little weird right now. I suspect because I was adding and subtracting tiles, what happened was GameMaker, the way it kind of organizes the tiles, it kind of screws things up if you're adding and taking them away, especially if, like for example, you've deleted a tile and you have to bring it back from an old project. GameMaker really hates when you do that. Things like this happen. So probably what happened was I deleted a tile by mistake, brought it from an old project, and that kind of threw off the order of everything. Let's see if just deleting my save data will help. Because in the save data, I'm actually keeping track of numbers, which is probably not a great idea. You know, it's what's causing this kind of mistake to happen. Because these sprites all have numbers behind them. So like sprite hex grain F might be like 22, for example, and I'm saving the 22 number, whereas I maybe should just be saving the name of the tile, even if it takes more space or whatever. Because, you know, even if it takes a lot of space, it's still not huge. Let's just see if it's broken. If it's broken, then I'm going to have to do the sprite name thing. If it's not broken, then I'll just run with it. So what I need to do is get to the first save point, save it, and then jump back in to see if the tiles are going to get all messed up. But this is the game where we're at now. Tutorials are working fine, apps working fine. Things are working. Controls feel pretty good. We're getting there, we're getting there. I think it's mostly visual stuff from here on out. Especially the player. The player is something I've been wanting to fix for a long time, so I'm looking forward to that. Okay, and I'm going to cheat. So I'm turning on my debugger display here to cheat. Follow the yellow line to where I need to go. The yellow line leads me to the monolith in the room. The purple lines lead me to artifacts. So that's my cheating method. Let's see, let's speed up. Adjust speed is O. Okay. I can also press O to make myself faster, things like that. This is where I need to land. Now the green line's going to take me exactly to where I need to go. And right now we've got grass tiles, we've got flower tiles, we've got things like that here. So when we load, we should get these same tiles. If we don't, then obviously things are broken. Okay, so now we've got our save data. Let's quit out. Let's see what happens when I jump back in. If I get desert tiles, then obviously things are broken. Yeah, Game Maker's really bad about bringing in resources from the outside. Okay. Things are okay, it looks. So yeah, here we go. Thank goodness don't have to fix that. We have these grass tiles, we have flower tiles, but we only have one type of each. So as you can see, like this tile is the exact same as this, which is the exact same as this. All the tiles are just one tile. It's just, you know, they're kind of laid out. So what we need to do is have at least 5 of every tile type. Probably for more common tile types, we need 10, like for grass and, you know, forests, mountains, things like that, especially if they show up in multiple rooms. We need multiple tile types. For the flowers, they only show up in the plains, which is this room. So we need about 5 of these ones. Obviously, the more we can make, the better, but there's probably a limit to how much we can and should make, so that's that. So we gotta make these tiles here. 1, 2, 3 guys, I've been trying to socialize a little more, mostly just playing games and making sure I keep up my drawing, which is cool. Also caught up in Game of Thrones. Okay, so you're caught up in Game of Thrones, which probably means you're past me, because Game of Thrones, at least in Japan anyway, usually it's about a year and a half behind of where it is in like the States. So I'm usually like a season and a half behind. And you know, before I could always just tell people like, go ahead and spoil it because I've read the books, but now obviously the show's gone way beyond the books, so yeah, please don't spoil it. although it's probably not much of a spoiler to say that everyone dies, and I'm sure everyone does. And 1, 2, 3 Gas has a comparison of the old six run cycle, and working on a new one. Okay, let me check that out. Be cool to see. It's 1, 2, 3 Gas. There we go. Nice, nice. It's good. It's good to see you guys back on this project because yeah, I liked your character a lot. That one's very cool. Okay, so this run cycle is gonna have her more kind of back, like she's really zooming along. Then I like that one too. But yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, if you guys do ever like stream again, definitely spam it. It's awesome to watch you guys work. And Ruben asks, so what are you planning to do with the game when it's released, when it's done? Uh, with with Project Skyring, with last year's game, Project Spaghetti, it was an easier game to make. It was the first game made in GameMaker, which is what made it take so long. But we did that one in a year, and we actually released it on episode 52. And after that, we did a couple of debugging episodes. But this game's more complicated, so the goal was to get kind of a beta done by episode 52. We're getting there. We're getting there. So what's if you come over to Trello and Project Skyring, you can kind of see where we're at. But the tasks I want to get done before releasing, well, not releasing the beta, but before entering like kind of a beta phase is this stuff here at the top, because it's actually like features and things like that. I want to make sure that I'm not adding features after the beta, because then the game's never going to come out if I do that kind of stuff. Feature feature creep, that kind of stuff. You always want to avoid it. You have to call a spade and just cut things off and say this is the game. Otherwise, you could work on it forever. And then once we hit beta, it'll be like polishing stuff. So this is all like debugging stuff, like bugs I know that are in the game, as well as brushing up the graphics. So like the player sprites and things like that, sound effects, GUI menus, things like that, and making a trailer, green light page, that sort of stuff. But yeah, like for example, let's see, Blue Tengu, where can I go? Tengu.hio. Uh, Definitely gonna put it up on itch, just like Project Spaghetti's up here, our season 1 game. Going to put it up on itch. Not sure about price yet. Thinking about it. But going to put it up on itch, and then after that, try to go for greenlight as well. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, Project Spaghetti was a hard sell on greenlight because it's super retro. It's not even like just Nintendo or Super Nintendo era pixel art. It's Commodore 64 era pixel art, which it's a very fun game, but the pixel art throws people off. And Steam Greenlight is a lot about graphics and stuff, and obviously catching eyes, getting people kind of excited because there's no demo or anything that you can put on Steam Greenlight. So it obviously has to be a visually appealing project to kind of get through Greenlight. Either that or have a lot of hype behind it. And we couldn't get either, so this time we'll try to go for Greenlight again with Project Skyring. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. itch.io will definitely be up there. So that's what we'll do with the game. In terms of beta, what to do with the beta, I'm probably old school in terms of like game dev. I don't really like selling things that aren't done. Like, for example, even though I know these bugs are in there, asking people for money feels really weird to me. It's kind of the standard in the game industry now to ask for money before things are done. But I still have a problem with it. So at the very least, I would want to get through this list before I actually like put it on sale. For people who did buy Project Spaghetti, you do have access to you've had access this whole year to Project Skyring demos and stuff like that, or as it's in progress. The reason I did that was because I figured anyone who actually bought Project Skyring knows who we are, knows that this is a work in progress, and doesn't actually mind, testing things out and being kind of a guinea pig. But obviously, anyone who's just stumbling on itch.io for the first time or something and thinks the game looks cool, picks it up and realizes what's with all these bugs, don't really want to do that to them. So probably, in terms of time, there's not a whole lot to do. It's mostly graphic stuff and fixing bugs that I know are in there. But, it could take a month or two to actually get it up, get all this stuff done. If I didn't have the kid in school, it would be about a month, but it's hard to estimate with those two things. And Ruben RME mentions, gotta agree with you on that one. Will not do it with my project either. Yeah, it's it's a different world, so I don't know if it's one of those things where I'm just like I'm too old, old-fashioned or something. But I don't know. It feels weird to have like something that's unfinished out there. It's like having a chair with three legs or something and saying, well, it's a chair. Go ahead and sit on it. I'm working on the fourth leg now. It it feels weird. Uh, I don't think there's a reason to really rush this out. With multiplayer games, I understand. Obviously, you want to get the multiplayer elements and everything else kind of worked out through an open beta before you put it out there. But even in that case, I think as long as the game itself is what you consider done, and Panda Bits is what you consider done, then it's just fixing things to make it funner, and then making it publicly available. That I'm okay with, as long as the game is like kind of done. It's the early access thing that kind of throws me off. I don't hold early access against anyone though, because me personally, I like jumping into early access because I like seeing games as they're in progress. I would even love to be like early access from like the gray box stage, but that's just because I kind of know what a game in progress is like, and it's fun to see them evolve. But I think the average person wants to play a fun game, not something that's not finished. A game is what you consider Panda Bits. Yes, but Panda Bits, you made it this time at the beginning of the show, pretty much. Just went through a description of what we're going to be doing with Project Skyring for Ruben and other people in the room, but that's kind of where we're at. So yeah, by episode 52, we'll have all the features in, and then after that, it's just brushing up, getting rid of bugs, and getting the graphics better. By the way, because I'm running on lack of sleep, that usually means my voice fades out pretty quick. So if I sound froggy, that's why. But let's jump into it. Converting hand drawings to tiles and getting them in the game. So let's see what kind of tiles we have. Some of these I've already done, like for example ash tiles. There's multiple ash tiles. There's different dune tiles. There's a variety. Like with dune tiles, because it's only in one map, there's 5 varieties, things like that. But we do have a lot of these left to do. So let's see. Let's take a quick inventory of what we need. So ash tiles were fine, beach tiles were fine. The blue tile is not being used, but when I try to delete it, GameMaker says it is being used, so good old GameMaker. I have no idea why that's the case, but I don't want to break things, so I don't delete it. Interestingly enough, GameMaker didn't warn me about other tiles which I deleted and actually caused problems. So good on GameMaker. So let's see, Cactus. I only have one type of cactus tile, but I need 5. Dune, I already have 5. Grain, I need 5. Flowers, I need 5. Grass, I need 10, because those grass tiles show up everywhere. Grave is just used in the opening, so I don't need more than one tile of that. Green is another one of those tiles like blue that's in there, and when I try and delete it, GameMaker complains, but it isn't actually used anywhere. Hills, I have 5. Hills Ash, I have 5. Hills Snow, I have 5. Ice, I need 5. Sand Pit maybe 2, because it's not going to come up that often, and it's only in the desert. Jungle, I need 5. Brambles, I need 5. Lava active 3. Lava inactive, let's go with 5 because they're always going to be kind of chained together. Marsh, I need 5 because that's only in the jungle area. So I'm going through this list on the left, by the way. That's where I'm getting all these from. Monolith, grass. We only need one monolith because there's only one monolith per room, so that's fine. Mountain, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We could probably do a few more mountains, but that's they are pretty common. Let's see, 2, 7, 5 with grass, 15. Because they're the most common tiles. They're going to be grass, mountain, and trees. Let's see, mountain, desert. Mountain, desert, we need 5. Mountain, snow. That's, yeah, 5. With the snow one, it's not too bad because it's just literally taking the regular mountain and putting snow on it. So, could theoretically do 15 as well. We'll just keep it at 5 for now. Remains. Yeah, let's go ahead and make 5 remains tiles. The remains are like where you find artifacts, so that's where those abandoned cities kind of are. There are more than one per room, so it's worth having variety. And we can just copy it over to the different types, so we don't need to do different ones for each type. Let's see, what else do we have? Are we using rubble? Yeah, I guess we are. Rubble, so rubble times 5. Sand times 5. Snow times 5. Snow tree. What am I doing with these? It is just trees on top of snow, so I think I have what I need. We'll put a question mark in front of it. Yeah, palm trees, 5. These are the desert version of the trees. Trees, ash. This is another kind of question mark. In fact, well, these are fine because it's literally just swapping out the tile under the trees. Vineyard, we already have 5. Volcano. Volcano, we do need 5. Active, inactive. Let's see. Sprite Hex Yellow is another one of those that we're not really using, but GameMaker will complain if we try to delete it. Monolith site. I don't think we're actually using this, but I think if I try to delete this, it complains. We'll see. Nope. Okay, that one it's okay with. Alright. Yeah, try to get rid of things I don't need. Sprite Cloud White. Yeah, these are so spread out, it's not much of a problem. Oops. So there's our list. Dropbox. Skyring. And tiles needed. So these are the tiles I would need to actually get the game done. Most of these are probably not drawn, hand-drawn, so I do need to start drawing them and getting them in the game. So let's open up Photoshop and I'll catch up to the chat. Let's see which one's going to be newer. That's the problem with working with Dropbox, is I have 2 sets of files. So I have to make sure I'm working with the most recent one. And I use Dropbox just so I can work on things with the laptop. Let's see. Hex HQ 622. 622. I must have copied it over. Yeah, okay, I'm good. I'm good. So we can work with this. And let's see. GameMaker helpful, but only when it doesn't matter. Yeah. That's kind of the thing of working with it. I do love it as a game engine, but you can definitely tell the team working on it is probably smaller than it's definitely smaller than like Unity or something. But they're doing what they can. But obviously, a game engine is very complicated and things go wrong very quickly. But yeah, Panovitz, what happened was there were a couple of these tiles in here where it's like, oh, I don't need that anymore. So I tried to delete it. Some of them it warned me, some of them it didn't. For example, the outline tiles. When I just went to delete them, it said, okay, got rid of them. But then when I went into the game, they were gone. So I had to bring them back from an old project. But when you do that, GameMaker it gets all the numbers messed up. The numbers that are behind these tiles messed up. So it kind of ruins like the save data and stuff like that. I am sure I am sure that like the game maker people would, if I complained about that on like a game maker forums, I could see what their response would be. It would be, you shouldn't be using the actual number to reference, the different sprites and stuff. That's an internal thing or a runtime thing. Don't do that. Use the name. That would be the response, and they would be right. But uh, doing things right is not always easy. So let's see. Looking at that list, what should we go after? Let's go after the cacti. So what do we have for cactus right now? Where's my cactus? There we go. That's the only cactus tile I have right now. There are usually not cactuses in the ice, so let's put it on there. And there's my sand tile. Yeah, okay, I can use that one. Sand tiles. Let me just look at sand tiles real quick. Because if I don't have multiple sand tiles, I should start there. I don't, so I guess I should start there. So before we get to cactus, let's do the sand. This is going to be exciting, drawing sand. I'm trying to think how I did this before. As I don't think I would have actually gone in and like hand drawn these pixel tiles. I probably would have used a noise function, but I can't think of like the noise function I would have used. Because the noise functions I can use are something like this. Let me try something. And yeah, 1, 2, 3 gas. If you know good like Photoshop noise functions or something, let me know. Let's see, get rid of all the stuff in here. So the goal is to get something that looks like that, but is not that. That's the goal. Make sure that turns off. Yep. Okay. So noise, add noise, selected area is empty. Okay. I had trouble with this a few days ago too. Yeah, because I need to actually have something drawn in there. So let's see, we need to use this as kind of our base color, I think, to get the noise. So there's kind of our base color. If I can grab it, there we go. I must have been using white? No. I must have been using some kind of gray. Is this the right gray? Yes. Okay, I was probably using this. So duplicate that. Okay. Let's see if I remember how to do all this stuff, and let's try to add noise to this. And this doesn't need to be too extreme. So obviously, as you go to this extreme spectrum, looks like a QR code or something for a really long website. I must have done something like this before. And tolerance 1, let's go in and erase the original color if I can find it. If I can find it. Let's use this as a base. Okay, find that color. Maybe this, 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 this. And the more times we do that, the less grainy the sand will look. So that's not too bad. That's not too bad as a base. We could probably get rid of a little more. There we go. Don't want to have the tile be like too textury because it wouldn't fit with the rest of the game. Alright, let's see what that looks like. Yeah, it's looking closer. Looking closer. So I've got, this is not going to be something that I can show on camera, but I do have a piece of paper here. And I have a Japanese brush pen. What these things do is they're mostly used for writing letters and, you know, like formal calligraphy and stuff like that. That doesn't have to be too fancy, because if it's fancy, obviously they're gonna use like an actual brush for it with like ink and stuff. But this is kind of like what you use to cheat when you're writing out a bunch of like wedding invitations or funeral invitations or whatever you're doing. So it basically simulates a brush. But I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. So I'm going to sketch a few cacti if I can. Pretty easy process, just kind of just scribbling it in and adding like forks and stuff like that, if that makes sense. Let's get it on the camera right. So just making a bunch of varieties of these things. Okay, so I scribbled together that with the brush pen. Let's scan it. Did get the times running out thing, but let's go ahead and make a cactus tile out of this. So this is like the result of the brush pen. Obviously it looks kind of cool to have that brush effect, but I'm kind of removing it in the game. I am just blackening everything out. Let's open it up. Let's see, desktop, rabbits. I want to keep things consistent, so don't want to have too much of the brush look going. I guess I should have remembered the name of the file. Why am I not seeing it? Image 47. Okay, image 47. Back to the desktop, image 47. Oh, okay, there it is. Okay, so that's the base. It's obviously quite huge because it was scanned in from a real object. So if I copied and pasted it as is, it would be that giant compared to that. In fact, it'd be even smaller, really, because this is actually that size. So these are unusably large. So the first thing is to shrink it down. Paste some more. Because these tiles have to be somewhat filled, so that because the player slows down when they walk over these cactus tiles, so it needs to feel like there's a reason for them to be slowing down. Just a few more. These ones are kind of generic. This should work okay. And we're almost done. Returns. So yeah, there's a reason why I saved like all of the tile making for the end, because obviously this kind of work is not risky. So like when you're making a game project, you want to get the risky stuff out of the way first. This is obviously not risky, it's just time consuming. Which is why I kind of saved this for the end. Okay, there we go. That's good enough. Let's go ahead and merge these together. Cactus G all the way to the top. Merge. And Cactus G again. Cactus G. Okay, let's make sure it looks more or less like this. It's not quite as spiky as that, so I'm going to have to work on that, because otherwise they'll be inconsistent. So I'll add a few spikes. But I can do that after the break. I am going to take a break, but I'll catch up to the chat here. What we're doing is trying to make sure that I have everything I need to know before like doing all of the tile work on like train rides and stuff like that. We just finished off like a cactus sample. For example, by doing this, did figure out that I do need to make like the pictures a little more spiky. Like for example, with the brush pen, there's two sides to it. I was using the fat side. There's also like the narrow side, which is more like kind of like a pin pretty close to a pin. So I think before when I was doing the cacti, I was like spiking it out with the pin. So I do need to spike these out more when I draw future cacti. But, you know, that's an experiment. And one thing we do have to do is get rid of like these white-ish outlines. So let's do that. Turn up the tolerance a bit. So that's not what I want. Grayish is okay. Let's turn this up a little more. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so that's not too bad. I can work with that. I can always add spikes by hand as well for these. It's probably easier to just add it to the drawing and then rescan it. But that's what we have to do for the cacti. With grain, let me look at the grain again. A lot of this episode is just trying to remember like how I drew a lot of these things, so I can keep them consistent. With grain. Yeah, I need to get rid of the white on this too. That looks pretty bad. That's better. Not entirely happy with the grain look as it is right now, so I could probably fix that up. And probably could put it on top of grass maybe? No? Should it be its own tile? Well, it looks deserty right now, so let's get rid of that. That's what it looks like in the game. Yeah, it's kind of too spread out. So maybe I should fix that drawing up a little bit. Okay, there we go. Got it. Let's see if that's in the camera. So that's what I'm going to scan right now. So there's our base. There's our base. Let's bring it over into Photoshop. Got a lot of stray, like grayish pixels. Let's get rid of those. Clean it up a bit. Not too shabby. Kind of ends up looking the same as what we had before. It's a little thicker, which is nice. That's not too bad. It's better than what we had here, because this is kind of it's a little too washed out. This one's not bad, but maybe when I'm drawing more of these things, I have to concentrate less on what looks good on paper and what's going to look good scanned. So even though this looks good on paper, the fact that when it's shrunk and kind of the stray pixels are taken off of it, it kind of loses something. I probably have to draw it thicker than I expect it to be. Let's go ahead and copy and paste a few of these over. Fill out this tile a little bit. Need to figure out a way to thicken these things out if I can do it. Let's get rid of these stray ones here. That looks okay. Grab that. Bring it up there. Bring that one down there. Bring that one over there. It's okay if things are spilling off the tile on the top, because if you've seen the game before, you know that the tiles kind of overlap in a way where the top can go over the tile behind it, and actually we want that effect, so try to make sure that we draw stuff that kind of overlaps the top of this hex tile a little bit. Actually, in a way, like just copying and pasting and stuff, I'm kind of noticing one thing that could actually work is to copy and paste the original picture, kind of just shift it off a little bit and copy and paste it over itself like this, if it'll let me. Unfortunately, it won't let me do it in the original bitmap, so let's get a new picture in here and paste it there. Okay, and get rid of the background. Get rid of the background. Well, let's keep that. If I do something like this, let me make sure it's nice and big so you guys can see it. 400, that's a little too big. 200. If I do something like this, if I take this, copy it, and just do that, you know, basically just shift it off a little bit, kind of like, you know, when people in PowerPoint and stuff try to make shadows over their text and stuff, where they're just kind of offsetting different colored text. This is actually not a bad way to thicken stuff up. That works out, kind of. As that's more or less what I would be trying to do with the art pen and stuff. So let's do that. Let's do that. Let's copy and paste this. So duplicate the layer, have Photoshop junk out on me, and shift it a little bit. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, kind of like making like shadow outlines and stuff. Like a lot of pixel art will do that as well. It's just kind of take the whole picture and shift it down into the right or something. That works out. That works out. Let's do that. That way I can keep drawing kind of the way I expect things to look. This one might actually need to do this twice, because these are really thin. Move it up and to the left. Yeah, that's not too bad. It's a good way to thicken it up, because it is grain, so it's okay if it's kind of shifted off and stuff. There we go. I don't like the way this grain looks anyway, so I'll probably replace this one, but at least for this, that works out pretty nicely. So when I draw the future grain stuff, that's how I'm going to do it. Fill this tile out a little more. Okay. So now we know how to do our grain tiles. Grain. Hopefully I remember that. I wish I could add like comments or something over here. Okay, and we'll bring those in to GameMaker real quick. Wow, Photoshop is just messing my computer up now. Grain F. So let's get rid of this one. Let's get rid of the old one and replace it with the cooler looking one. Grain F. There we go. Yeah, that looks a lot better. And sand. Sand. There we go. Let's duplicate that. There's the old one. Sprite Hex Sand G. Hex Sand G. Okay. And just to make sure that we can swap between these two, let's grab this script and bring it over. So when the sand tile is created, we'll pick between one of those two tiles. Sand G fact random one. Obviously in the future we'll have more of these, but there we go with our default. So if it just does happen to pick one, it switches to Hex Sand G variation. Nothing too complicated. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and make a build here, because it has been oh, did I make one last week? No, I don't think I made one last week, so let's make a build. Create application. Simple, so it doesn't install a lot of junk on your computer. Desktop. Yep. Okay, so just basically packing in everything that's inside of GameMaker, putting the build up on itch.io. For those of you who did buy Project Spaghetti last year and paid a little extra, you have what you need to play this if you want to. So I'm going to put it up on itch.io. But yeah, I'll just put it up later. We'll go ahead and wrap up. It's a little early, but you know, I usually run over, so I guess this week, thanks to my printer acting up, we're actually going to end on time, which is kind of cool. Thank you for watching our game development show. You can catch past episodes in this one over at youtube.com/BlueTengu If you enjoy watching this, or if you're watching this later on YouTube, come drop by the live show we do every week on Twitch TV Blue Tengu. The times are Sundays 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Japan, which is where I am, which translates to 4 to 6 Pacific, 5 to 7 Mountain, 6 to 8 Central, 7 to 9 Eastern. If you're in the UK, it runs from, looks like about 11 to 1 or midnight to 2, something like that. If you're in Japan, obviously it's 8 to 10 with me. If you're in Australia, it starts anywhere from 8 to about 11 a.m. depending on where you live. If you're in New Zealand, it starts at noon, but we do always announce what we're doing through Twitter, so follow Tengu, BTENGU, to keep track of when the live show starts or episodes go up on the archive and stuff, or follow us on Twitch or YouTube. You should get announcements that way. Of course, you can see what we're up to anytime over at bluetengu.com. And if you did pitch in a little extra for Project Spaghetti last year at itch.io, you do have the Sapphire key you need to unlock kind of the betas, I guess, as we're putting them up over at itch.io. So I will put the one that I was just making now up in case you're interested. And of course, with Project Spaghetti, we would appreciate any support you can give us getting it greenlit on Steam. If you search for Project Spaghetti, you'll find it. It is a very retro game, so it is hard to get greenlit on Steam, but if you can help us out, that would be great. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week for a double episode.